What's up, guys? So we're in Marco Island, we're anchored. We're actually waiting on two things. We're waiting on a life raft, and we're also waiting on a motor for our dinghy. Now, while we wait, we're going to do some projects.
We are working on the cabin sole. We've been neglecting that for a little while because we've been doing so many projects in the boat. But right now, it's just something that we feel like we could get done and make it feel a little bit more homey in here because it still definitely feels like a construction zone.
Let's take a look at what the cabin sole currently looks like. This is our boat now.
Oh my god.
So this is what our cabin sole currently looks like. It's not very appealing.
So when we originally got the boat, it had a rug, and this was what was underneath. And we think that at one point someone tried to use some sort of paint that definitely wasn't for this purpose, and it's flaked up and it still continues to flake a little bit every day. So it doesn't look very good, to say the least.
We also did a bunch of epoxy work over this floor, and we put these marks in here. It looks like it's just dirt, but it's actually dirt that's epoxied on the bottom of the floor. So our solution for the cabin sole is going to be exactly what we did on the bulkhead right there. And we think it turned out pretty good. Obviously our table is still not done yet, but I'm talking about this area right here. This is what we used on the bulkhead. It's a vinyl flooring that you could just get at Home Depot. It's the Allure Trafficmaster, I believe. It's in teak color.
Something that we looked for as we looked at the different flooring options was one that had a little bit of texture. Some are very slick, and we know that those will be super slippery when wet, but this one, I don't know if you can hear this really. It has a good amount of texture to it, so we think that that will work well.
Now, we personally know a few cruisers, including actually Sailing Uma, that used a style of flooring like this in their boat, and it turned out really, really well. No complaints about slickness, no complaints about it, degrading or anything like that. It's basically waterproof. You can get salt water on it, you can get fresh water on it, you can mop it, you can do whatever you want. We actually used it on our old condo, and it worked out really well. We used it on this bulkhead here, and it's a really cost-effective alternative to a marine flooring. So we're going to be using this contact cement to actually stick it down to the current cabin sole. Before we do that though, we're going to make sure everything's nice and clean and slightly abraded. We're actually going to use a melamine sponge and a little bit of Dawn dish soap and some water. It should be a pretty good surface for the contact cement to adhere to, and I'm not too worried about it adhering really strong because it's going to be flat along the cabin sole. Really and truly, it's not going to go anywhere. Gravity is working in the flooring's favor. Now, this stuff's meant to actually be installed in a home without any adhesive, so adding the adhesive is just an extra level of assurance.
Alrighty, so we just cut the first piece. And Jordan is putting contact cement on the back side of that piece, and then also on the floor, correct?
Yeah, you put both the piece and then the floor, or whatever you're going to be sticking it to. Probably want to wait a good 10-15 minutes for it to dry. And then it's like an instant stick once you put it on there, and it stays. Stuff cuts somewhat easily. It's a little annoying. But the good thing is you can cut it with scissors and a razor blade. Randy's working hard on these intricate cuts, all the measuring and everything. The cuts are pretty hard over the floorboards right here. So this section is already kind of cut and done right here. The vinyl planks are going to go over everything, but obviously we need to make the cuts around the board so that we can still, lift up the board just like this right here. So, as you can see. Then we're going to have to clean up the edges inside there, make it look nice and pretty. But yeah, it's coming out pretty good so far. It's taking a little longer than the bulkhead did because there's just more weird cuts on the floor. So we are getting there. For what it's worth, I think it's coming out pretty good. These floorboards, one right there, another one right there, have been really tricky to cut. Randy's up here. She's been the cutting queen today. I've been the gluing person. but
it's a lot of work. It's a little tedious, but it's looking so much better, so
yeah.
worth it.
It's crazy how tedious 80 square feet of flooring can be,
yeah.
right?
It's nuts.
She's working on this little piece right there, but we're getting there. You can see like these seams right here aren't perfect. We're gonna go back and kind of trim them. This certainly looks a lot better than that. Alright guys, here is the semi-complete floor. The last couple things we still need to do on this floor to complete it is to finish up cleaning up the gap between the floorboards here and the actual cabin sole. So we just still have to trim that a little bit. And then we have to put a waterproof vinyl trim around the outside, so around the exterior of the vinyl planks. Both those things are going to wait because we do have some more pressing projects that we're doing. But I'd say it's looking pretty good for only being about 90% complete. We are going to be working on some projects today. Randy is doing a little bit of cleaning down below. I'm going to be installing 2 panels in the cockpit. They're going to be electronic sub panels. One panel is going to be for lights. The other panel is going to be for individually controlling the different electronics that we're going to have. Right now our running lights aren't actually hooked up, so part of what we're going to be doing, hopefully today or tomorrow, is installing the running lights for good. We do have the mast lights installed, just not the, the red, green, and the stern light. We've been using little portable emergency lights for when we were running at night. But first, this is where the 2 panels are going to go. They are Blue Sea weather deck panels, so they're waterproof. And I've already traced out their location via the template here, so now I just have to cut those 2 little holes out. Alright guys, so obviously I haven't wired these at all yet, but I just wanted to get them installed. They're pretty easy to remove, it's just 4 screws holding them in place. There's a foam sealer that goes around the outside so that they are waterproof right now. Those 2 panels are kind of just placeholders for now, but they were important for me to be able to properly install the navigation lights. So now I can go ahead and install the bow lights, basically the red and the green lights, and the stern light, and I can wire them to the cockpit panel down here, and then I can wire the cockpit panel to the main distribution panel. So when I go inside, turn on navigation lights for the main distribution panel, I can come out here and then individually switch on and off every single navigation light, including the anchor light and the steaming light and the deck light and that kind of thing. So that's it for that. Let's get to installing the navigation lights. Alright guys, so I'm in the dinghy right now, and as you can see above me, behind my head right there, is actually a large hole. Ended up cutting it out with the oscillating tool. The next thing I need to do is actually install the lights. I have this hole on the starboard side here, the same matching hole on the port side. So let's go ahead and do that. Randy's helping film now. He was doing some work on our stays, which was well needed, but now she's filming. So this is something that I would have probably filmed with the GoPro had I not lost it in the spot that we're currently at right now. We need new camera equipment. All of our camera equipment is basically breaking. I guess it's probably a good time to mention Patreon.
Our mic is currently zip tied.
The camera you're currently watching on, it's like on its last leg. We bought it last December, and it's had a hard life. It's had a hard life.
DIY is not good for cameras. Literally, like, we have to take the battery out to turn it off. The power button doesn't work anymore. Yeah, on its last leg.
But anyway, if you guys like these videos and you want to see the quality of the videos improve a little bit, a great thing to do is obviously sign up on Patreon. It'll help us get the equipment that we really need, because camera equipment is really expensive. So for more information about how you can actually help support Learning the Lines, the link for our Patreon page is going to be in the description below. Enough of that, let's take a look at this light. There's the starboard.
That's green, right?
Light. That is going to be the green light. Alrighty, and then that is the port side. So I just went ahead and cut this hole for the stern light right here, and we're just going to pop this bad boy in there. So this stern light has a gasket around it just like the other navigation lights and those switches that I put in. Now I'm going to go back later, not today because it's not going to rain for a while, but I'm going to pull the screws one by one in each one and put a little bit of silicone on there just to, waterproof where the screw enters. But around here, that's all waterproof. So now all of the lights on this boat, including the anchor light, the steaming light, the deck light, the stern light, and the bow lights are all LEDs now. So pretty sure I can have them all on like all the time and not barely use any power. Like they use such little power. So having LEDs on a full electric boat is definitely something that is important, and it's even important on, you know, on normal cruising boats with a diesel, just because you want to conserve power as much as you possibly can. You don't want a light draining your battery. So now the only thing left to do for the navigation lights is actually to wire them into the sub panel, and then the sub panel into the main distribution panel, and then we'll have power and we'll be able to actually turn them on and use them while we're sailing at night.
Thanks for watching this one, guys. Join us next week as we take you through a typical day for us at anchor, as well as finally getting power to those navigation lights.
Let there be light.
I've got it right and I got it wrong, but I learned my lesson hanging on. Come sit here with me by the fire.